I'd be lying if I said I wasn't disappointed at the outcome of the election. For those of you who haven't heard, I regret to inform you that Prop 63, which is the firearms magazine ban, it passed the election by a fairly wide margin on Tuesday night. Now, for those that are not familiar with the history of California politics, this may come as a surprise to you, as Proposition 64, which is the marijuana legalization bill, also passed. Now, I say the word surprise because Prop 63 and Prop 64 are ideologically opposites of each other. Whereas Prop 64 gives people freedom, Prop 63 takes it away. Now, when you think about it, it's very hypocritical of voters to vote yes on both Prop 63 and 64. But it's also important to note the hypocrisy of those who voted no on both 63 and 64. You either believe in freedom or you don't. Now, despite the passing of Prop 63, I remain fairly optimistic, as this case has many similarities as that of Proposition 8, which was an initiative on the 2008 ballot that was very similar to Prop 63 in many ways, except instead of a prohibition on large capacity magazines, it was actually a prohibition on same-sex marriage. And despite passing the election back in 2008, the court system found it to be unconstitutional, and the ban was eventually overturned. Now, we can only hope that Prop 63 suffers the same fate. You see, whether it's guns, drugs, or marriage, denying the people the freedom to choose is an attack on liberty. Now, speaking of the courts, there is a little light at the end of the patriotic tunnel, and that is that on Tuesday night we were able to stop the one candidate who essentially admitted to a plan of putting judicial activists, which are in a sense rogue justices, on the Supreme Court. I am, of course, talking about Hillary Clinton, and I have a complete video explaining how I arrive at this conclusion. I'll put a link to it right here. Now, her attitude towards the Supreme Court is more than enough for any reasonable person to vote against her. And let me tell you why. Presidents come and go every 4 to 8 years, but federal and Supreme Court appointees are there for life. You don't like the upcoming president? That's fine. He'll be gone within 4 to 8 years. However, the Supreme Court will be around a lot longer than the president. And again, I will put a link to my video right here. And after the town hall debate, which I discuss in the video, there's no doubt that Hillary's Supreme Court picks would be far more detrimental to our country than Donald Trump's. Now, before you Trump haters, and I know there's a lot of you, get your panties in a twist, know that I am not so much happy that Donald Trump won as I am that Hillary did not. If that makes you feel any better, it probably won't, but for whatever it's worth. And I don't think it's fair to criticize people based on the most negative attributes of the candidate they voted for. Because Hillary has some equally, if not more, negative sides to her than Trump. I also want to say to those who are considering ROTC, that's running off to Canada or otherwise fleeing the country. That's not the American way. Now, being a moderate conservative in an overwhelmingly liberal state, I know all too well what it's like to lose an election. I know what it's like to have your representatives embarrass you at the national level by proposing ridiculous legislative bills. I also know what it's like to have unconstitutional laws and policies forced down your throat in the name of public good by politicians who are supposed to be protecting your rights. And yet I'm still here. I'm still in the fight. I haven't gone anywhere. That is the American way. That's what Americans do. Our founding fathers didn't whine, pout, resort to name-calling, or run away from their problems. They stayed. They fought hard to fix things as they saw fit. We should continue that tradition.